Let me first thank all members of the House who have spoken passionately about the family as an institution and as a bedrock of our society. We are in good shape today. About 90% of the people surveyed said that the family is the most important aspect of their life. Having said that, I don't think we can take that for granted. The stresses from rapid and volatile economic cycles, the challenges from alternative value systems across the entire world as we are so open, will continue to challenge the family as an institution in our society. And may we therefore not be complacent that the family will always be the bedrock of our society. Let me share the 3 areas of focus for MSF this year in terms of strengthening the family. The first is encouraging and promoting family formation and child development, and I'll spend quite a bit of time explaining the childcare industry to the members of the House. The second is how we engender a pro-family mindset and to strengthen family education for all life stages. And finally, the third, how do we support vulnerable families? Let me begin with the first on family formation. To help Singaporeans meet their family formations, the government has announced new and enhanced marriage and parenthood measures last month. For example, the Ministry of National Development, MND, has announced various measures to help family formation, and we welcome that. MSF will continue to work with other agencies to deliver other measures, including the enhanced baby bonus, to legislate new schemes like paternity and shared parental leave, which will take effect from the 1st of May this year. Having spoken to many couples intending to get married and intending to have their children, we know that financial consideration is one of their top concerns. But beyond financial considerations, I think what is uppermost in their mind when they decide to have a child or not are 2 other very important things. One is the health care of their child. Every one of us who have been parents know that so long as we are blessed with a healthy child, we can't ask for much more. And this is where MOH initiative to cover the neonatal conditions come in helpful. But the second thing that is very crucial to many of our young parents is the quality of care and education. Many have said that they do not want to bring a child into this world if they are not confident of bringing up the child good and well. And we can understand that. And this is why MSF and MOE are committed to build an accessible, affordable, and quality early childhood development sector to holistically develop our children's potential, not just preparing them for primary school, not just preparing them to pass and excel in their academic subjects, but to equip them with the social-emotional skills, the motor skills, and most importantly, to ignite in them the passion to learn and the spirit of inquiry. This is what we hope to do. Yesterday, Minister Heng Swee Keat has shared some of these initiatives, and today I will share more about the childcare sector. Madam Chair, if I may have your permission to flash out chart number 1. Today, for children 5 to 6 years old, 99%, actually more than 99%, almost 100% of them attend kindergarten. This was 95% 4 years ago. The last 4 to 5% that we have managed to achieve in the last 4 years was not easy. It took tremendous effort on the part of the educators, the grassroots volunteers and leaders to go and seek out the last few percent who did not attend kindergarten. Many of them previously did not attend kindergarten because they thought they could not afford it. They were afraid. But for many members in this House who have walked the ground, you will know that today no one will be deprived of a kindergarten education because they cannot afford it. They can always join one of the anchor operators like PCF or NTUC. And one of the conditions of having the anchor operator is to make sure that they cater and take in the people who are unable to pay for the kindergarten services. So I'd like to thank all the volunteers, the grassroots volunteers, the grassroots leaders who have walked the ground and beat the block to make sure that no child is left without kindergarten education. This is an ongoing effort. The fact that we are at almost 100% today doesn't mean that tomorrow we'll be at this happy situation. And I must say that today, one of the roles of the anchor operator is to make sure that you take in people from all walks of life, including those who are unable to pay for it. What about children for 5 to 6 years old using childcare? 4 years ago, the 5 to 6 year old who use childcare is 19%. 4 years later today, it's 34%. It's almost a doubling. For children who are 18 months to 4 years old, 4 years ago, from 2004 to 2008, they were at 23% of the cohort. Today, they are at 36%. Both of these show a tremendous and significant increase in the demand for childcare services. The question is, why is this demand growing so fast and so quickly? I suggest there are 4 main drivers. First is that today, many families are dual income families. Many of our female desire to go back and pursue their career. Our female labor force participation rate for women aged 25 to 54 has increased from 65% in 2001 to 76% today. We are one of the highest in the world. And that's a good news. That's because our females are highly educated, have the capabilities, and want to continue to pursue their careers. And that is why we must give options to our young parents, male and female, this option to have their children in a good, affordable, quality, and accessible childcare so that they can have that option. I'm not saying that everybody should put their children in childcare. I'm saying that for those who desire, we will try to make sure that they have a place. The second is that our social norms have changed. Grandparents are less available to help us take care of our children now. Many of them either live further away or they have their own life pursuits. Childcare services have also become much more acceptable because the quality of teachers, the quality of the centers have improved. Many parents have fed back to us. They are now much more willing to consider childcare as an option, where previously they might not be so confident. The third is that government has also made access to quality childcare more affordable. At this point, I'd just like to clarify that all parents, regardless of working status, are supported through the basic subsidies. They are also supported by other forms of assistance such as the baby bonus and child development account, match savings scheme, which are used to defray childcare expenses. Working parents receive additional support as they need to send their children to full-day childcare programs, which are generally more expensive. And as part of our recent subsidy enhancement, larger families can also qualify based on the per capita income. The application process has also been simplified, where nowadays you don't go to the CDC to apply for the childcare financial assistance scheme. You just go to the childcare center and fill out the form. It's a one-stop service at the childcare center. If I may just reply to Mr. Gerard Yam, we agree with you that student care is a continuation of the childcare, and that is why yesterday Minister Heng Swee Keat announced that we will step up the provision of student care in the schools. And we also agree with you that it's not just in the schools, but some is required in the community. There are advantages of having it in the school so that the children do not need to make long distances to the center in the community and get lost half the time. There are also advantages, like you say, for some community services because not all schools may require the service and have the economies of scale. So we are stepping up on this. And I also just like to say that 400 student care centers are already administrating the ComCare subsidy. So we will continue to expand this. Okay. Now, let me go on to the fourth factor as to why the childcare demand has increased so substantially. Someone asked me, why do you build more childcare? The TFR is decreasing. Surely we need less childcare than before. But it can be a chicken and egg problem. People may not have children because they do not feel that they have adequate childcare provisions. Then we go up, get ourselves into a vicious circle. Not enough childcare, no children, become a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, I rather err on the side where I provide more options for the young parents who consider childcare as a viable option. So which is why we will continue to build childcare centers to meet the demand of our new generation of young parents. And we agree that this generation's demand is different from the last generation. The last generation, most of us grow up in our own homes. Today, many of us are double income families, and that's why they need more childcare. And we are taking actions to meet this demand and to plan ahead to meet the future demands even. Which is why we have embarked on the new childcare master plan to build on the success of the 2008 master plan. In 2005 to 2008, there was 10% increase in the childcare capacity. So 2005 to 2008, 10% increase in the total childcare capacity. 2009 to 2012, our childcare capacity increased by 45%, almost double, 45%. In the original master plan in 2008, we planned to build 200 centers in 5 years. In the end, we built 267 centers in about 4+ years. Having said that we have exceeded our original target, the demand is still down there. And as what was observed by some members of the House, we do not fill our childcare centers up to 100%. Once the childcare center fill up to 80% and beyond, that is already an indicator for us that there is a demand and we should provide 4 new childcare centers in the locality. We will never fill them up to 100% because we need some spare capacity for contingencies and for shifts in demand. We also need to cater for contingencies whereby 1 or 2 childcare centers may be shut temporarily because of an outbreak of disease and so forth. This is why we never fill our childcare centers, all of them up to 100%, as far as we can. Okay? So we expect some unutilized capacity as buffer. And we understand that there are local hotspots, as was mentioned, that especially in the new towns, where there are many more new and younger couples, the demand for childcare services is very strong. Some of them, the enrollment has gone over 85%. Right? For example, in Punggol, currently we have 22 centers. We will be building 15 more in the next 2 years. In Woodlands, there are currently 49 centers. We will be building 10 more in the next 2 years. And in the coming year, my officers will be going constituency by constituency, division by division, to meet up with the local grassroots leaders to identify the sites and to get the support for them to build more centers. And we will continue this program until we meet the demand. If you look at the experience of other countries, it's quite telling. The demand for childcare follows an S-curve. When incomes are relatively low and education level is relatively low, the demand for childcare is not very high and people are not very confident of the childcare services, and because the quality is relatively unknown. Then it comes a point whereby, because of a growing middle class, growing number of women returning to the workforce, growing quality of childcare services, and you see a sharp demand. We are at this stage. Then you will taper off again because the number of women that is going back to the workforce eventually stabilizes. And we are now at this part of the S-curve. So in the next 5-year master plan from 2013 to 2017, we will aim to change the provision from the current 1:3 for every cohort to 1:2 full-day childcare places for children aged 18 months to 6 years old. This will require us to build 20,000 more places to meet this target. 20,000. The 2 main challenges for us to meet this demand are, number 1, sites, number 2, teachers, as many of you have identified. Let me talk about sites. If I may show a second slide, Madam Chair. Going into the future, for the new build, for the new BTOs, we have plans to work with MND to in-build the childcare centers into the new flats, the new car parks, and so forth. That's for the new builds. Having said that, that is the longer-term plan. The short-term plan is that we will not only look for void decks to convert to childcare centers, but we will try all sorts of innovative ideas, including the conversion of disused facilities. On the screen, you see the conversion of one former swimming complex in Bukit Merah, which is now Eagle Beaver Schoolhouse. And we have another one at the bottom, which used to be Serangoon Bus Interchange, and you can see the artist's impression there of the new childcare center that will be ready in a couple of months' time. We have also converted a bank to be a childcare center in Taman Jurong. So rest assured, if members have other innovative ideas on where you want to build your childcare center, let us know and we'll work on it. I've heard other innovative ideas from Ms. Penny Low to build it in the parks, in the green space, temporary structures. We welcome all suggestions. So long as this is acceptable to the community, so long as this is acceptable to the parents who are entrusting their children to our care. We will also co-locate with other facilities. For example, car parks in Sengkang, in Tanjong Pagar. And we also one upcoming one, co-locating with a hawker center in Woodlands. So, not to worry, you have ideas, we welcome your ideas, we'll work with you to make it happen. We will also increase the number of childcare centers at workplace, and we want to see how we can further encourage owners of private premises to make full use of the URA Community and Sports Facility Scheme to provide extra gross floor area for developers so that they can partner the childcare operators to provide more childcare options to our young families. There are only 3 places that people usually look for childcare centers. 1, near our own homes. 2, near our workplace. 3, near the grandparents' places. So these are the places that we will build to cater to the demand. Today, out of the 1,000 childcare centers, about a quarter of them are at the workplaces. And I think we can go further because it provides the parents with a peace of mind that they can visit their kids even during lunchtime. And I think that's wonderful, and we should do more. So we will continue to ensure good quality manpower, and that is the other challenge. And I agree with Mr. Ang Hin Kee. When we talk to the childcare teachers, many of them do not start off by talking about pay. They are there because of the passion. They are there because they like kids, and they have a way to bring up the kids. And I think this is highly commendable. On the other hand, they are right. They don't want to be seen as super nannies. They are professionals in their own right. They want to improve the image. And I think on this, all of us as parents can do much to help. That when we send our children to the childcare, to at least acknowledge the childcare teachers, to show them our appreciation, and please do not deposit the child at the childcare center and give the childcare teacher a list of instructions. Hey, please make sure that my child don't fall down, no mosquito bite. And then when we collect them at the end of the day, again, instead of thanking the childcare teachers when we reach there, is to lift up the child and check whether there's mosquito bites, whether the child has fallen, and then walk off. I think the childcare teachers feel this. They told me, I can take a bit less pay, but please give me that bit of respect. And I think we can all do that together to acknowledge and affirm the good work done by our childcare teachers. It's not easy. We all know. All of us who have children, to take care of one child at home for 24 hours can drive us crazy. To take care of many other people's children for at least 8 to 10 hours a day, it's not an easy job. So let's do our part to acknowledge our fellow childcare teachers working very hard, taking care of our children. We'll continue to work with the Workforce Development Agency and training agencies to expand our manpower pipeline. And we agree we need to raise the professional image of the sector. And this is where the structure of the sector is important. When we have a very fragmented market like today, where we have more than 400 operators running 1,000 childcare centers, it is very difficult for individual childcare centers and operators to provide a proper route of advancement and development opportunities for the childcare teachers. If you run one center, you cannot afford 1 or 2 teachers to go away to take training courses, upgrading courses. It's very difficult, and these are challenges that we have to overcome. And we will also welcome suggestions from operators, and some operators have innovative ways which they think they can maximize their manpower resources while maintaining quality. And we are talking to some of them, and we would like to share some of these best practices with the rest of the sector down there. And you are right, and we agree with Mr. Ang Hin Kee that many of these skills goes beyond academic qualifications. Some may not have the necessary academic qualifications, but they have a certain way with children that can bring them up with the correct values and the correct attitude to learning. And this is what we want, the feedback from the operators, and we'll be prepared to work with the operators to see where there are these deserving cases for us. Okay. Now the question is, then what is the correct way to structure the childcare industry? Over these last 2 weeks, inside and outside the House, we have heard many differing views. Some call for nationalization, others call for privatization. Minister Heng has spoken about some of these challenges of nationalization yesterday. If we do that, the question that we have to ask ourselves is that, will we be able to offer the diversity required for the industry? We know that children learn very differently at an early age. A one-size-fits-all learning method will probably not work. We want diversity, and we want to give choices to our parents. And we also respect that there are dedicated educators that have set up existing kindergartens and childcare centers with very innovative teaching methods, and we should keep them in our system and, if possible, to help them grow. On the other hand, some have called for privatization with many small players and just let 1,000 flowers bloom and give them a subsidy and let the parents decide. We are a bit cautious about this because the experience from the other countries have shown that this may not work out very well. Okay? Because in this unregulated market, what is most likely to happen is the top end of the market, the for-profit one, will grow very quickly. And the middle segment of the market, the mass market, is the one that grows the slowest. And if we continue this trajectory, we will be unable to provide affordable options for the mass market. So we welcome ideas like what Mr. Yee Jian Jong said. In fact, some of these ideas have been discussed, and we are looking at it, and we'll announce more of these details when we announce the results for the request for proposal for the new anchor operators. The childcare sector is also quite different from some other markets. Information is critical. The question is, how do you assess the quality of a childcare service? You don't have exams at the end, and we are not suggesting that you have exams at the end. Then how do you assess that which childcare operator provides better service? And the unfortunate experience in some other countries is that when people are short of tangible evidences, they look to price as a proxy. Then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. High-end operators attract people who can pay for the services, and they produce quite good services, whereas the mass market one languish. Then the other question is, beyond looking at it from the child's perspective, how do we provide career development opportunities for the many teachers that we identify as the critical success factor in this industry? How do we provide them proper training and development and continuing education to upgrade themselves? This, I think, is critical. When we are too small, each by ourselves, we can't do that. When we are too big, we also have other challenges. So it's not a straightforward issue. But the thing that concerns MSF most is, how can we provide affordable and quality options to the mass market, to the people in the middle and lower middle income group? There will be a role for various private sector operators Every country has that. There's no way that we can deny them a chance to contribute to the sector. They will try different approaches to early childhood development. They will meet different needs and different aspirations of parents. Some will want better quality, and they will support the private, and we will support the private operators in improving their services. When we support the whole sector, we want to uplift the whole sector, including some of these people who are in the private sector. On the other hand, we will ensure mass market options that are good quality and affordable for the middle and low-income families. If I may have your permission, Madam Chair, to flash another chart. This is our situation 4 years ago, prior to the start of our master plan, and 4 years since we have the master plan. If you look at the period from 2005 to 2008, the new operators, there were only 7 not-for-profit new operators. There were 52 for-profit commercial operators. Conclusion number 1, the commercial sector is doing very well on its own. The one that provides the mass market option grew by 7, largely the non-profit operators. After we implemented the master plan to give a big push to the not-for-profit operators and the entire sector, in the last 4 years, we have 135 not-for-profit operators catering to the mass market. These are new ones, not the total. And we have 132 commercial for-profit operators. Despite the fact that the government is helping the not-for-profit operators to try and catch up in terms of the mass market, we can see how fast the commercial operators are growing. Our fear and our concern is that if this continues, will we have sufficient mass market options for our middle class, our low-income groups? That is our challenge. I'm quite sure the number of operators will grow. My concern is which sector will grow, or will we end up like some countries whereby there are many commercial operators providing many high-end options but unable to provide the mass market options. In UK, some studies have shown that the out-of-pocket allowance to get a childcare service can go up to 30% to 40% of a household income. I don't think we want that. Today, for each child, out-of-pocket allowances for out-of-pocket expenses for childcare services is comfortably within the single-digit range. We benchmark our subsidies to ensure that, so that we provide options for our mass market, the middle income, the lower income families to have access to childcare services. Okay, now let me talk a bit about the anchor operator scheme. The anchor operator scheme has helped us expand the options for the middle income group. They have grown 130 in the last few years. Their fees are below the industry median. Below the industry median. This is one of the criteria. Below the industry median. So they anchor it rather than to keep chasing and pushing up the prices. 57% of them are Spark certified. 57% of the Spark certified centers are from the AOPs. It's a low number. I think we can do more and do better. Their large network island-wide and economies of scale help them to invest in better operational and HR capabilities. And this is the reason why we want to support more anchor operators to come in and join the sector to provide quality, affordable, and accessible services, most importantly to the middle income and the lower income groups. Frankly, the higher income group, the demand for the niche services, they are well on their way of meeting that demand. So, having said that, never mind if private or non-profit operators, never mind if they cater to the better off one, or the middle income one, or the lower income one. What we want is to have an industry-wide support to ensure quality across the board. And this is where we need to focus on the teachers' development and the teacher and learning resources. And if I may just at this point do a small deviation to clarify what Ms. Denise Phua and Mr. Peng Eng Huat mentioned about subsidies. Today we have full childcare subsidy for full day, for open to all. including single moms. For those who are not working mothers, on appeal, we have approved more than 400 cases for exactly the same reason that you say. So if you know of anybody who requires such services, do let us know. Let me talk about ECDA, the Early Childhood Development Agency, and the road ahead. ECDA, or the Early Childhood Development Agency, will come into force from 1st April. They will do 3 things. First, they will do master planning of the entire sector, and they will go town by town, division by division, to work with the local leaders to identify the sites. In fact, about 80% of the sites for the next 2 years we have already identified. But there's still another 20% to go, and we want to work with the local community leaders to bring this about. The second thing is that they will focus on capability building, on curriculum development, and manpower development. In terms of curriculum development, together with the effort from MOE, where we find best practices, whether is it from the AOP, from the non-AOP, we want to disseminate this to the entire sector and level up the whole sector. And this is the way that we want to push up the quality for the entire childcare industry. In terms of manpower development, we'll continue to source for alternative sources of manpower from people who may not be in the sector now, people who might be prepared to come back on a part-time basis to help out in the sector. And there's tremendous potential for us to do this. I've also asked ECDA to harmonize the rules and regulations between the kindergarten and the child care sector to make sure that we provide greater ease of operations for the operators, to make sure that we provide peace of mind to the parents, not just in terms of quality, but also in the continuity of service from child care to kindergarten and child care, and in time to come, even to after-school care and beyond. We want that proper handshake so that parents have the peace of mind that when they have a child, they need not worry about the education and the quality of the education, nor the cost of the education. And finally, the children is at the center of everything that we do. We want a quality programs. We want diversity in the options for our children, because we recognize that not all children learn by the same way. And you might ask, maybe I just take 30 seconds to tell you the story of why we call this ECDA, Early Childhood Development Agency. Why didn't I call it the preschool agency and so on and so forth? We chose this word after long deliberation because it's early childhood development. Early childhood development encompasses not just preparing for primary 1 and academic subject. We want all of us to remember that we are developing the child, giving him or her the foundation for the future of his or her life. And that requires many more skill sets. It requires a holistic development beyond the academic subjects. And we are very afraid that everybody just see this as a preschool development, which means that it's almost a preparation for a school development. If that is the case, then we have failed in our mission. But this is something that we need to join hands to work together. It cannot be done just by the changing of the name. It is a mindset that we all must embrace as we go forward on how we develop our children. So to round up the childcare portion, our mantra is still the 3 words: affordability, accessibility, and quality. That has not changed, and that will not change. And we will support all the operators in the sector now to see how we can uplift the quality together. We will support all the parents to make sure that we have provide affordable options to the parents that provide them peace of mind that they do not need to chase the next higher price program, which becomes an improper proxy for the quality of the program. Okay? And most importantly, we want to make sure that as the sector develops, we continue to have affordable options for the broad swath of the people in the middle and lower income groups down there. Now let me move on to the second thrust of MSF work on the family this year, and that is encouraging a pro-family mindset. We agree with Mr. Seah Kian Peng that family promotion and education goes beyond financial and material support. MSF takes a long-term approach to this, and we want to focus on building the foundation and the values. It will not yield us result in the short term, but we think and we believe that this is important for us going into the long term. We believe that with this foundation, we will have better chances to have stronger families in the future. In the past, we have always sought to equip ourselves with family life skills and to lead fulfilling family lives. In the last 10 years ago, our outreach in terms of family education was 200,000 people. Last year, we reached 1 million people in our outreach, but we are not happy, nor are we satisfied. We know the changing socio-economic circumstances. We know the upcoming stresses and strains to the families. We intend to make a big push to spend 40 million in the next 3 years to outreach to more than 2 million people in terms of family life education. We will be launching the Family Matters initiative. If I may call up a diagram, Madam Chair. We want to take a life cycle approach from the time when the children are young to how we inculcate in our children, our youth, the values of family life, the importance of families, to the time that they go on to work, to the time that they become a married couple. Having gotten married is not the end of the journey and the end of the education. In fact, at every stage of the life, there are different stresses and strains. So we need to support our married couples, our first-time parents, parents with young children. And over and above all this, and over and above the teenage years, we also have to take care of our people, with our children with elderly parents. Many of them need to be supported because even if they don't have children, they have elderly parents, and this is the entire life cycle approach, where every life stage matters in the family education and formation. So we will synergize the family education effort more holistically. So we will introduce 4 initiatives. Family Matters at School, where we have programs for students and parents to talk about some of these issues. For example, at Princess Elizabeth Primary School, they regularly organize programs to help children and parents bond, and through the whole process, understand and appreciate the value of family life and set the children on a foundation to love and appreciate the family in time to come. In response to Mr. Seah Kian Peng today, about 800 schools and preschool offer programs today. But I think we can do more, and we will. At higher levels like JCs and polytechnic, students do benefit from modules on relational and life skills, and we will continue to push to reach out to more people. Families at Work encourage companies to offer family education and bonding programs, and this complements MOM's work lives measures. For example, today many companies organize programs for singles. Many companies also organize programs for married couples. I always thought that once in a while we should organize the 2 of them together, so at least the singles do not feel that they are singled out, and they can at least appreciate the joys, the trials and tribulations of married life by sharing stories with those who have walked the journey before them. And hopefully those who have walked the journey before them will inspire them to take that leap of faith, because as all of us who have walked this journey before, married life is a leap of faith. You never know the destination, but we can all enjoy the journey together. We will revamp the scheme to encourage more companies to join, and in time, today we have about 1,500 companies under our Family Life Ambassador scheme. I think we will want to do more, and I think we will encourage many more companies to come aboard and join us. Likewise, we will leverage on the resources and the networks in the community, the People's Association, the NGOs, the public agencies, the community clubs and libraries to promote family matters at the community so that we achieve a better work-life balance and better personal mastery and be more confident in how we build our families. And finally, family matters at businesses. We want to encourage more pro-family infrastructure products and services. For example, today when we go around, many places they have pro-family infrastructure, having just a simple gesture of extra car parking spaces for families with trolleys and prams makes a tremendous difference. I just visited the Gardens by the Bay, couldn't find a car park. Finally, drove by this blue box that says that you're entitled to park here. You will have strollers. I thought I have 2, so I must qualify. Made my day. Small gesture. Small gesture. Okay, so we will build a strong pool of educators and invest in their professional developments. This is an acquired skill. It's not easy, but we will do more. And all this will be part of the 40 million program in the next 3 years for us to make a big push on family education. Let me come to the last part where I talk about the support for vulnerable families. We understand and we appreciate many of these families need additional support, especially single mothers But single mothers are not a uniform group. There are unwedded single mothers, there are divorced single mothers, there are widowed single mothers. And I appreciate the push by Mr. Seah Kian Peng, Mr. Janil, Ms. Janice Koh, Ms. Mary Liu, Ms. Li Lilian for speaking up on behalf of the single parents. MND recently announced measures to support singles and divorced and widowed single parents. We're happy for that. To better support their caregiving responsibilities, the government will extend infant care and childcare leave provisions to unwedded single parents. This means that, like other parents, single unwedded parents will receive the same childcare leave support, 6 days of childcare leave a year for children below 7 years of age, and 2 days for those aged between 7 and 12. Single unwedded parents will also enjoy 6 days of unpaid infant care leave a day if they have a child below age 2. This will come into effect on 1st May this year. So we will continue to strive to provide better support for our families under duress. Ms. Intan, Mr. Chris D'Souza, and Ms. Fumiha have talked about adoption. Yes, we would like to do and encourage more adoptions where we can, but this is a serious undertaking about a child's life and a child's development. It is also a serious undertaking on how we want to build the family relationship. On average, we take about 5 months now to process an adoption case. We'll see how we can simplify and strengthen this without compromising on the quality of assessment and the care for the child. Other countries, adoption from other countries can take up to 2 years, and partly because we have to respect the rules and regulations of that country. Where we can, we'll work closer with those countries. And we'll continue to strengthen and learn from other countries' best practices. Ms. Fumiha and Mr. Chris D'Souza also talk about abortion. Every year we have about 12,000 abortions. Slightly more than half of them are by Singaporean women. And out of this half, about half of them, that means a quarter of the entire number, are Singaporean women who are married. So 12,000 is the whole number, about half Singaporean women, and another half of the half, which is a quarter of the total, are Singaporean women who are married. Today we have measures in place on counseling them on the risks and implications of an abortion, and we must have written consent to be given only after a cooling off period. The social service agencies do provide counseling and support for these women, including guiding them on other options such as adoption. Having said this, I must say that this is a very difficult and tricky topic. Social service agencies that have provided abortion counseling tell us that adoption is one of the hardest options to raise with this woman, and very difficult for the woman to consider going through the pregnancy only to give the child away at birth. It's not easy. We will work with social agencies to provide more information and support to these women so that they can make informed choices. However, the decision to carry a baby to term or to abort a baby is ultimately a deeply personal one, influenced by many important and unique factors to the individual, which we must respect. Discouraging abortion and encouraging adoption should not be seen as the solution to our TFR challenge. Rather, we should enhance support for such vulnerable families and women for them to make informed decisions. For every successful case, we rejoice, but we must also appreciate that this is something deeply personal, and there are many considerations that we must respect. Mr. Ang Hin Kee talked about foreign spouses and the challenges of transnational couples. We acknowledge this. It's not easy. 40% of our Singaporeans in the marriageable age marry someone who is not born in Singapore. In 2011, MSF piloted marriage preparation programs for transnational couples. Didn't work. Not very popular, because the transnational couples didn't want to be singled out. So we incorporated the topics into the mainstream marriage preparation packages, and MSF provides some support for couples to attend such packages, regardless of whether they are transnational marriages or not. And we hope that members in this House will continue to help us to reach out to such couples, because many of them face very difficult challenges settling in a new land, going into a new and foreign family often. So there's much that we need to do for these transnational couples. Finally, if I may just take the remaining 2 minutes to conclude on the family portion. I think at a very personal level, having a family goes beyond financial calculations. It always bothers me when someone takes out a financial sheet to calculate the pluses and minuses of having a family. I think that starts us off on the wrong track. The tangible calculations cannot measure the intangibles of family life, the source of support, the purpose to our life, the anchor for our life's direction. Much is a leap of faith, a determination. Much of it, married life, is about determination and a compact to walk life's journey together. It does not come without challenges. The destination may be unknown, but for those of us who have walked it, I think the journey is definitely worthwhile. Finally, it leaves me to thank all members of the House who have spoken during the various cuts. Actually, I never understood why it was called cuts. I was told it was called cuts because in the past, or in normal parliamentary proceedings, people usually try to cut your budget because it's either you have it or I have it. Today, we are in a comfortable position on 2 counts, at least for MSF. Today, nobody in this House has stood up and said that they want to cut my budget, our social budget. All of us want to do more. And we will want to do more, but we must also bear in mind that this may not be the happy situation that we will be in forever. As economic growth slows, the competition for scarce resources intensify. I hope to have your support to continue this journey together. That year after year, we can come back here and have ads and not cuts, but we must be realistic. On the other hand, today I'm in a comfortable position because many of you, through your own network, decide to step forward and join the circle of support for all our weak, our vulnerable, our needy. This is not easy. We want to sustain this. We don't want to end up in a situation where everybody is only looking after themselves. It's a I, me, myself mentality, and not having to care for my fellow man, my fellow neighbor, my fellow person in the community. So today, whether is it budgetary resources or social network, I think we are in good shape. But let us not take this for granted that it will always be so. And I look forward to walking this journey with all members of the House. Thank you very much.